So I wanted to talk about Steph Curry and who is Steph Curry, what is his future, and what is the trajectory of his career going to look like, especially with the coming weeks and months of off-season training and the new season coming up right now. Before I start, I do want to say that, you know, Chet, the Wembanyama, and all of these guys, they're coming. The new guys, the Scoots, the Brandon Millers, the Paulos, they're here, right? They've shown themselves. They've really outperformed what people thought that they were going to be. And now we live in a world where these are the guys who, in the future, they're actually going to be, make a difference, and they're going to be the champions, and they're going to be the players who are carrying the league into a new place. Now, with all this being said, and with that being the case, I do want to talk about that. Honestly, where is Steph at in his career? Now, I know that I just did an intro and I just talked about the young guys, but the reason why I say that is because I feel like I just did a video on LeBron yesterday and about how he might retire. And in the end, he's not retiring, but in my opinion, it's like, yo, Steph is right there with him. Like, yeah, Steph has more years than LeBron left, and he might stick around for 3 or 4 years. But what is Steph gonna do after he hits his peak in terms of age and consistency? Like, I'm sorry, but LeBron's a phenom. We've never seen anyone be this good this late. Average 30, make it to the Western Conference Finals. Like, everyone who played when they were that old normally had something happen to them, right? Like, either they were worse than what they used to be. It's either that they, were very good like Jordan, but didn't have any success, etc. Like, most of these guys were good to some extent. But in my opinion, right, when we see a guy like Curry, it's like, what is he doing and where is he going? Stephen Curry has been one of the best NBA players for the past 10 years. And we have seen him growing from 2013, 2014, just a kid who used to shoot a lot of threes, to one of the best NBA players of all time, a top 10 player, and a guy who went from being disrespected for shooting threes to changing the game for that same ability, right? Like, he used to be that scrawny kid who couldn't play, who used to get pushed around, and now he won a Finals MVP in 2022 with one of the best Finals performances that we've had in recent times. So when we look at everything, Stephen Curry is phenomenal, but the real question is, where is his career going, right? Like, he's older now. He's 34 years old, and he's not getting younger. His team is mixed, and is he retiring soon, or is he going to keep playing until he just can't anymore? And the big question is that Stephen Curry doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. A guy who has changed the game, a player who has revolutionized the sport, and he looks just as good or even better than what he did before. And that scares me. Like, Stephen Curry, we see him through the years, and we've seen him grow, progress, and become so much better at basketball that it's scary how much of a drastic change he's had in his career. And I don't see an end to this. It looks exactly like LeBron in 2018, when people were like, how are you going to stop this guy? Steph looks like he's in his apex. He dropped 50 in the game 7. He's been the league's best or second best player for like 3 straight seasons now. And it's the oldest he's ever been. And even though before, right, it was always like, oh, Steph is good, but LeBron is so much better. But really what I want to get at with Curry is, how much does he actually have left in the tank? How many more years can Stephen Curry play before his downfall? he does not look like he's stopping right now. And in my opinion, it looks like he could play 10 more years and he'll be fine. But as we know, age and a bunch of other factors have to do with these things. Like, are you actually going to keep playing? Or are you going to lose love for the sport because it's going to become too like hard on your body? Or is your team just going to lose enough, and is that going to create more problems in the games? Because as we've seen Steph Curry, he's had the dream career. He was drafted to a team which cared about him, which made him the star, even though they didn't want to, because when they wanted to trade him to the Bucks. But they made him the star. They gave him a great supporting cast, enough to win a championship. And then they gave him enough pieces throughout the years, right, to win 4 rings. If that was Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole, any one of these guys, they gave him enough pieces always. Andre Iguodala, just to win. And now we need to look at Steph Curry, like, and the Warriors as, are they gonna win? I know that they got Chris Paul this year, but their bench looks extremely thin, and they look like they might lose a lot of games. Like, Steph is a winning player, and so is Chris Paul. But is that really the move that you needed? Like, what you really need is a choker of a point guard who can win in the playoffs and can pass the ball. In my opinion, we have to really look at this situation and be like, are the Warriors ever going to win again? All their stars are regressing except Draymond, because he's just plateaued into being the best defensive player in the world and sucking at offense, right? Klay Thompson has just become the Klay Thompson, like, he's not really regressing, he's just plateaued too. And Steph is the only one that looks like he's actually either getting better or remaining at an MVP caliber level. Now, we all know that Steph alone can't win you a championship. And is Chris Paul the piece to really change that for the Warriors? Or is he just another guy who was brought in to help the Warriors try to get back to the point where they've been so many times? They have the coach, they have the staff, and they have the cap space now next year to make the moves to win championships. The real question is, are they actually going to strive and win, or are they just going to plateau and waste 4 years, like $100 million on Draymond Green, Klay's contract, and Steph? I understand that when you have a championship core, you should be able to win enough games and comfortably get into the playoffs, especially when you have Chris Paul added to the bench. But it really just looks like now they're trying to develop Jonathan Kuminga. And it looks like they're putting a lot of confidence on these young guys. Lester Canoas, who's their summer league guy who's been going insane. Jonathan Kuminga, ex-Gary Payton. Like, it looks like they're putting a lot of trust and care in so that these guys can actually try to make something happen. It obviously hurt them a lot that last year they lost to the Lakers, which were a team which they thought that they could beat after dominating LeBron when KD got there, right? They had this like idea of, oh, we're just gonna cook LeBron, but in the end that didn't end up being the case. LeBron absolutely destroyed the Warriors, and what I mean by destroyed is that he did something to them that no one thought. Like, everyone thought that series would either be a Warriors win or like maybe Lakers in 7, but they did it in 6 games, and they did it through just being a better team. And so when we look at next season, it's obvious that they're going to come motivated and that they are going to want to get to the championship again. But honestly, if we're talking about the Warriors, I only see a team which can lose in the Western Conference Finals. Like, Jonathan Kuminga, Draymond, Kevon Looney, Steph, and Klay looks like they could be some of the best players. And I don't know, but they need a piece. I know Andrew Wiggins plays, but last year he was inconsistent, and it really does look like the Warriors are going to lose. Now, with that being said, I could also be eating my words up and have the Warriors be one of the best teams. And that's what I love about this game, that we could just be wrong and acknowledge it and still support the team. But yeah, so let's see what happens with the Warriors, and let's see what happens with Steph's career after, he one ups or goes down.